Hello, thank you for joining me today as I do a foundational reading of Psalm 57. This is an active reader approach, and there are 3 tools I'm going to use today in my active reading. The first one is I'm going to highlight all the references to God. The second one is I'm going to highlight the first phrase of the psalm, because Psalms are poetry, and the first line will radiate down through the rest of the psalm. And the third thing I'm going to do is acknowledge questions. Today we're going to start by highlighting the first line of the psalm. David says, "Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me." So when you take a minute to highlight, you have to think about what's going on, that he's asking for mercy, and wonder if mercy is something you ever cry out for. Be merciful to me, O God. Be merciful to me, for in you my soul takes refuge. We know from the header of this psalm that David is hiding in a cave from Saul, who is trying to kill him. So David has a physical refuge in that cave. But here it says, "For in you, O God, you, O God, my soul takes refuge. In the shadow of your wings, God's wings, I will take refuge till the storms of destruction pass by." One of the things I think of as I'm reading this and highlighting is, when the storms of destruction come in my life, I just want them to be gone. I want to be done with them. I want them resolved. David doesn't ask for that, but he does ask to take refuge, for his soul to take refuge in the shadow of God's wings. Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me. I cry out to God Most High. David reminding himself of the strength and majesty and position of who this is he's crying out to. To God. To God what? God? To God who fulfills his purpose for me. So in the midst of destruction, as he's crying out for mercy, he's thinking of who God is, Most High, and God who fulfills his purpose. He, this God, will send from heaven and save me. He will put to shame him who tramples on me. God will send out his steadfast love and his faithfulness. So by highlighting God, we've been able to see David's focus on who God is. And in fact, that seems to be David's purpose here. He's his refuge. He's the God Most High. He's the God who has a purpose for David. He will send from heaven and save him. He will put to shame his enemies. God will send out his steadfast love and his faithfulness. So God is a God of steadfast love and faithfulness. And in the midst of David's storms of destruction, this is what he's focusing on. David continues on. Remember the first line? Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me. My soul is in the midst of lions. I lie down amid fiery beasts, the children of men, whose teeth are spears and arrows, whose tongues are sharp swords. Be exalted, O God, among the heavens. Whoa, kind of a change of tone there. Let your glory be over all the earth. Now, glory is not something I said I was going to highlight, but I hate to let it go. I get excited about the glory when it's used through Scripture. And I just think it's a twist here. And I'm wondering, does this section even fit in this psalm? How does it fit? Because David's been talking about the storm of destruction, and yet now all of a sudden he's talking about God being exalted and God's glory. So I'm going to pen a question here. You don't have to, but I think it's very helpful. Why does David change his focus from storms to God's glory? Now, you might not have had that question, and you don't have to write it down if you don't have it. But it makes me think a little bit, and I'm going to, at the end of the psalm, think back and see, do I have an answer for it, or is that something I'm just not going to understand right now? Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me. They set a net for my steps. My soul was bowed down. Remember at the beginning he said, in you my soul takes refuge. They set a net for my soul, for my steps. My soul was bowed down. They dug a pit in my way, but they have fallen into it themselves. My heart is steadfast, O God. Wow. When I read that, I think, wow, can David say that? My heart is steadfast. He says it twice. Very, very clear about that. My heart is steadfast, O God. My heart is steadfast. And maybe as I've highlighted all the references to God through this, maybe it does make sense for David to say that, because he cries to God for mercy. He wants to be in God and have refuge under God's wings. It's who God is and God's purpose for him, God's steadfast love, his faithfulness, and even God's glory that David is focused on. Those things being true, perhaps it is okay to say, my heart is steadfast, O God. In David's psalm so far, David does seem to be focused on God and not on his struggles or his own self. I will sing and make melody. Awake, my glory. Awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. Be merciful to me, O God. Be merciful to me. Remember, that's still where we started here. The storms of destruction and a cry for mercy. I will give thanks to you, O God, or O Lord, among the people. Give thanks publicly. I will sing praises to you among the nations. Well, he must be pretty confident, because right now he's hiding in a rock cave. But he's saying in the future he's going to give thanks among people and among the nations. For your steadfast love is great to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. So David said his heart is steadfast. God's faithfulness is faithfulness to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. And that's the same refrain that had the word glory right above. Exactly the same. These are the same frame. So it's like, it is like a song in that he has the first section, be merciful to me, O God. Be exalted, O God. Be merciful to me, O God. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. And in this case, I'm thinking that my question about why does David change his focus from the storms to God's glory may be connected with all the things that David says about God in this psalm. He's struggling. He's hiding in a rock cave, but he has a faithful, steadfast trust that God has a purpose for him, and that there will be a day when David will be able to sing praises to God among the nations, that God is going to be the exalted one, and his glory is going to shine over all the earth. Thank you for joining me and looking over my shoulder as we worked through Psalm 57, doing a foundational reading as active readers.